Go again. Great. Thank you, Ian. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Wednesday meditation gathering. I'm so glad you're all here to share this time together. Meditation gathers energy when we meditate together. This week, we have Lia Steinson, who will lead us in meditation, and then we'll have 20 minutes of silence. After that, we'll open it up for sharing, and we end at 10:45. Over to you, Lia.
Thank you, Dan. It's absolutely lovely to be here again and to see so many faces that I know and love. It's always a joy to do this meditation. I'm going to begin with an invocation that I wrote that I use at the beginning of all my groups. So I invite you just to close your eyes a moment and listen. From the heart of divine love to the heart of my being, to the heart of your being, let us today be transported by the light to rest in God. I am not a body, I am spirit. You are not a body, you are spirit. When we each remember who we really are, we know there is no separation. We are one. Just feel those words a moment before you open your eyes again. So important to remember. We are one. We are one. And just come back then when you're ready. Thank you. My theme today is highlighted in that invocation. It's about getting in touch with who we really are. And there's a very clear statement there, isn't there? I am spirit. And I wanted to work with this because I think it's very easy to know this as a statement, that it's the truth, but not necessarily to really feel it. And my work is always about this way that we can deeply experience what the truth is rather than just know it as a fact. I'm just going to read you a brief bit from lesson 97, which actually says this. You may remember, I am spirit. Practice this truth today as often as you can, for it will bring your mind from conflict to the quiet fields of peace. And a few words later of a prayer. Spirit am I, a holy Son of God, free of all limits, safe and healed and whole, free to forgive and free to save the world. That's beautiful, inspiring words for us today. And for me, realizing, not just knowing, but realizing that we are spirit is about waking up, about awakening. I've got a workshop on Saturday called The Awakening, where we'll go more deeply into this, because I just have a short time to deal with it today. But the feeling of this for me is that until something happens to shift us, we are asleep. We're just moving about, being a body, suffering, having a horrible, struggling time, and wondering why the world doesn't make us happy or life doesn't make us happy. And then gradually, I think we begin, something usually happens. There's some key mystical moment for most people, and we begin to awaken. And when we awaken, we still have to deal with challenges in our lives, but it's different. When you're asleep spiritually, everything that is unexpected, everything that's a challenge and the stuff every day, isn't there, rocks us. It sends us into judgment and complaint and anxiety and anger and grief. There's a mess of feelings every day for us until we really go through this awakening and realize that we are spirit. When you know that you're spirit, and I'm sure that everybody will recognize this, when you know this, you really know it, not in your head, but in your heart, deep in your being, then whatever, you still have challenges, life still has challenges, but you meet them differently. You meet them from a place of calm, from equanimity, from almost detachment, really. I think of it as stepping out from the center of the drama of your life and coming to the edge, being much more of an observer, seeing what's going on without getting over-involved, being able to ask for guidance, but it's being not reactionary, not resisting, not being rocked, as I call it. So there's this calm, steady place that we can live in, and that we deal with life's challenges like that. We accept what's going on, take appropriate action, or if we don't know what to do, we wait in acceptance and detachment and ask the Holy Spirit for guidance. So this takes us round to the theme for the meditation today, which is saying to ourselves, who this is a very powerful meditation. Many spiritual traditions use this. Now, we've already got the answer, haven't we? We started with the answer, I am spirit. It's getting from the knowledge, as I said, into the real part of it. This huge awakening inside me. Yes, I know that. I live from that place. And when I know I am spirit, of course I don't judge. I don't complain or criticize. I wouldn't waste my time reacting to the stuff of the world because it isn't real. So the realization that I'm spirit is a really powerful place and takes us into this calm, this abiding calm that we don't react. We might respond, but we don't react. So the meditation is going to be asking that question, who am I? And I see that there's 3 levels in the answer to this question. First, when you say, how am I? It's natural and helpful to say, at first, well, I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm a worker, I'm a whatever I am. There's our physical reality that we seem to experience. And what I feel we need to do is we need to get through that lot, and realize that as we answer that question, we eventually come to the end of answers that relate to the body. And then we come to the answers that go to a much deeper level. And we can get, as we go through and we keep asking the question, then we get to the answer, perhaps, I am spirit. And we begin to feel it. We keep asking, don't stop, you just keep asking, who am I? And you get deeper into that feeling of I am spirit. Eventually, you don't need to answer. You don't need to say I am spirit, because what will happen if you really go into this, what will happen is that you will begin to get the realization of being spirit beyond words. If the words are not the realization, the words are a journey, and what needs to happen, I think, is to transcend the words, go beyond the words, and we get to this huge all-encompassing realization of who we are, which takes us on in our lives this truly awakened place. So that's what I'd like to lead us into today, is working with that question. I am spirit, sorry, that answer, I am spirit, but the question, who am I? Is everybody, clear, or if anybody not clear of what I'm asking us to do? Is that okay for you? So in a moment, I'll just lead you in with some breathing and centering and becoming present. And then I just ask you to gently ask that question. See what answers come. It's bound to be, and it's right to be, that there's physical things that you come to first, what you experience being in this body. Let them go. Just let the answers come, breathe them away, let them go. Keep asking, keep asking. And then you'll begin to get to that place where you can actually genuinely say, I am spirit. Or other words that might, I am one with God, I am this hope, the only Son of God. You might get other answers like that. But eventually, even that, begin to let that go and feel like, okay, I've done that. And you sink into this place of realization where the whole experience of being spirit is everything that you are, and no words are necessary. Okay, so shall we begin with that? Unless there's any immediate questions or anybody's, we'll move.
Lia, can I just ask one quick thing, please? Sorry, it's Kirsty. When in this process, when I'm sure I will have a thought, I don't know, thinking about what I'm going to cook for dinner, an attack thought, something like that.
Yes.
Do you have any, for 20 minutes that's going to come up? Do you have any suggestions as to what to do when you're aware that you are that you have gone off piste a little bit and your mind is wandering.
Yes, that's a very good point, Kirsty. It's natural for thoughts to enter. Just in the physical sense, the frontal lobe of our brain is about thinking, so it wants to think. But I think it's just being conscious that you don't have to be involved with that. You can let it continue, but you're just not interested. So whatever rabbiting that bit of your brain is doing, just don't be interested in it and keep going. So what I suggest is normally you'll get into a train of thought like, what am I going to have for dinner? And you follow it a little way, and then you suddenly notice. When you notice, take a breath, let it go. Don't fight it. If you fight it or you criticize yourself, it will be worse. So just notice, oh, that's okay. I was thinking about what I'm having for dinner. I'll let that go. Come back to the question. I think a lot of the power of meditation is in our willingness to keep going. When it's really hard and our mind wanders, come back, come back, come back. And even if you've gone for 3 minutes and you suddenly notice, that's okay. You notice, take a breath, come back, ask the question, keep going. Does that help?
Brilliant. Thank you, Lia.
It's lovely. Any other question before we get going on this? Okay, well, I wish you a very deep and beautiful meditation and some some growth of realization of, for all of us of who we really are. So if you'd like to close your eyes, I'll just lead us in. In order to really enter into our meditation, we need to be here. We need to be completely present. And the thinking mind is used to not being present. It's busy doing the future and the past and resisting being here now. So the way you can become more present is to actually be aware of the body. It's a very useful means of communication, actually, in this. So notice your body for a moment. Notice where you're sitting. Be aware of your feet on the ground. And the angles, the bends of your ankles, your knees, your hips. Just notice this. Don't need to comment on it or do anything. Just be aware. And feel this up just rising up into your spine. Just lifting up a bit. Don't lean back too much because you'll feel a bit droopy. Let your shoulders go back and down a bit. Open your chest. And be aware of the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. Notice the breath going in, the breath going out. The feel of the breath on your nostrils. Let your hands just be resting lightly in your lap. And let your hands just curl naturally. They're not naturally straight or tight, just softly curled in your lap. Feel as if your brow is smoothed out and your eyes are just very softly closed. Feel that softness moving down your face, through your cheeks and into your jaw. Let your lower jaw relax. Breathe hard to it. You feel yourself softening down through your throat and back into your chest. And the rise and fall of your breath. The light within. And remembering from that invocation, when we are here in the light of our hearts, we are one, beyond our body, into spirit. Just preparing now to ask the question. Take it slowly, and in a moment, just begin to ask yourself, who am I? Let whatever answers come. And let them go again. Don't stay with them. Just let them go. Feel like you're just going through, noticing, letting. And then when you feel ready, let it go deep. Begin with the realization of being spirit. You might like to start answering. I am spirit from God. I'm the one. Anything that echoes our true reality, who we really are, and eventually just drop that. And I'll probably remind you towards the end, just to help you stay focused. Just one more time, say I am, and then drop the words and move deeply into the realization in your mind, your psyche, that all of that will be enter into being spirit beyond words. So I'm going to leave you now. And towards the end, as I said, the word is Keep your eyes closed. And for the last 2 or 3 minutes of the meditation, I invite you now to move into a wordless connection with God and all of us with each other. Like you move into the light. The light is all there is. No edges, no beginning or end, eternal, infinite, vast, all-encompassing. No form. I invite you to ask one more time, who am I? And feel yourself transported into all form disappearing. One with each other, with your spirit. No, move now into into.
Open your eyes slowly and come back into the room. We have about 15 minutes left for sharing your reflections and your questions. If you'd like to speak, raise your hand or use the reactions button at the bottom of the screen, and I'll invite you to take yourself off of mute. And if you'd like to ask Lia a question or comment with confidentiality, put your message in the chat function at the bottom of the screen, and I'll read it out. Who'd like to share?
Hi, it's Kirsty here. Thank you for that, Lia. It was a really beautiful meditation for me. Very clear instructions and such an interesting process for me on really asking that question, who am I? I always identify myself with this separated individual who's, this and that and mother and, whatever else I am. But actually, what I'm notice a lot is that whilst I do identify as this separated individual, then it's very, very difficult to forgive and to not go through the ego-based emotions of anger and all that kind of thing, whilst I believe that I'm a separated self. And really the foundational thing is to realize that I'm not that separated self, I'm actually spirit. And that I've noticed that way it really is possible to, as exactly as you say, to stand outside the drama and just look on. And something else I noticed as well was that the spirit self doesn't really emote. It doesn't really have these other than love, which is obviously the one true emotion, if you can call it that. Spirit doesn't really have, the separate self doesn't really have any emotions. And so I can notice the separated part of myself feeling all these emotions. So getting in touch with these emotions, you know, grief and all that kind of thing. And the spirit aspect of myself just watching, just observing in stillness, and not feeling the grief, but not feeling or the anger, but just being very present and observing that going on is quite an interesting experience for me. I'm out.
Thank you. That's really helpful, because I think that's the deep point of this, is that if we enter into experiencing being spirit, judgment doesn't arise, and you don't have to do all the struggle to deal with it. You simply don't feel like judging or criticizing or complaining, because you're just so deeply in this place of spirit, it doesn't happen. And that for me is the most wonderful thing, knowing that I don't have to continue struggling with getting angry and reactive and so on, and then having to forgive. Not judge in the first place. And there's a lesson, isn't there? Today I would judge nothing that occurs. That really guides me, you know, today and every day, of course. If I don't judge, I'm sorted. And how do I get to the place of not judging? By really fully appreciating who I really am. And it's so peaceful, it's detached. And as you say, Kirsty, there's no sort of runaway emotions in there. There aren't any ordinary everyday body feelings. It's just this beautiful calm place. So thank you for highlighting that. Thank you. And I think Angela wanted to say something. Did you, Angela? Yeah.
Thank you. Angela, would you like to share?
Hi there. I've lost my picture now, so I don't know if am I? Oh yeah, I'm off mute. Thank you, Lia. That was just the energy and the atmosphere of it. It's very calming. I actually couldn't hear you very well, and it was very distorted on my device anyway. So, and you have a lovely, gentle voice when you do the meditation, so I could hear you less. But I got snatches of what you were saying, and I know we'll hear more in the workshop on Saturday. But yeah, it was just a very calm thing, and I realized that in meditation, as I strive in a way to quiet the voices, or then ask for the awareness of spirit, I realized that the best thing to do is just allow it to come. It's a passive experience rather than an active experience, actually, because I know that the lesson you quoted, I am spirit, is there all the time. So I don't have to invoke it at all, actually. It's just there. All I have to do is stop listening to the chatter of the ego, and then, oh, lo and behold, there it is. There's the spirit, and I just have to go as quiet as I can. And as Kirsty was describing earlier, I have my mind with all kinds of different things popping in, and yeah, I that's what I do. Is what you described, is going back to the breath instead of trying to tackle whatever has popped in. I just, as soon as I'm aware of it, I go straight to the nostril breathing. And that then stops me thinking about all the other things. And now I can be passive and allow the spirit to rise within me just quite naturally. But what a lovely, calming meditation. Thank you so much, Lia.
Thank you, Angela. I'm sorry if you couldn't hear it so well.
Never mind.
My voice does drop, I know, when I'm doing it, because I'm and I have to try and stay close to the microphone, but hopefully you got the feeling of it anyway if you missed some of the words. And I just wanted to add something to what you were saying, Andrew. It seems to me that the constant practice of forgiveness is really powerful. Sometimes I think we can think that forgiveness is for big things. Well, obviously it is for big things, but it's also for little things. It's for everything that we ever are tempted into, that's judging, criticizing, complaining, moaning, comparing, suggesting how things should be better. There's lots of little things we do we don't see as judgment, like complaining about the weather, or any little bits and pieces that we say in our day that in any way pull anything down, or even the littlest moan or complaint is symptomatic of a judgmental place within us. So I think we have to be very vigilant for judgments that we haven't noticed are judgments. And I often say this in the workshops, most of us have a box of things that we think it's okay to judge. Like it's okay to judge, when President Trump was in office, it was okay to judge him. It's okay to judge politicians who cheat or lie. It's okay to judge pollution and plastics and, there's loads of things that it seems to me that people have in a box called, these things I can judge, because everybody knows they're wrong. But it's self-deception. It isn't all right to judge anything. and even, abuse, murder, rape, drug addiction, whatever things we have going on in our minds that we think are not very uplifting or helpful to the world, they need to not be in a separate box. When we know we are spirit, we don't have the impulse to judge anything. So when you see yourself thinking that, just dropping into judging stuff out there, just get a hold of it, very gently, nicely. As Andy just said, use your breathing. It's a beautiful letting go thing. Take a breath, just forgive it. And as you forgive, make the decision to stop judging it in the first place. That's the journey, not to just have forever keep forgiving everything that you judge. What if you didn't judge it in the first place? Then you'd never have to forgive anything. I think that's such a wonderful realization for me. So as you get along your journey, it seems to me that for most of us, we need to watch out for the things we just automatically judge and haven't noticed, like politicians and all that. And all the little bits and things we complain about. Oh, they should have done this, and this should be better, and why haven't they done the other? And, the council should take care of these things. We just conversationally, it's casual judgment. Do you see what I mean? Without noticing, we're just saying all the little bits and things about how things should and shouldn't be, and not realizing that they are powerful and they're symptomatic of a mind that's looking for things to judge, looking for things to criticize, to help offload the guilt that we feel inside of us. So I'm just really encouraging people to watch out for things you think it's still okay to judge, and watch out for the little things. Don't let any of it go. And watch out for things like comparisons. It's a sneaky one, isn't it? There's lots of things that we do about how things should be or should be better or whatever. It seems like quite reasonable, helpful and positive feedback. It's not, it's judgment. So if you want to really experience being spirit, you've got to really watch for every little judgment. Forgive it, decide not to judge it anymore, keep going. And then what I found is, life gets more and more beautiful. Because you're moving from the suffering dream to the happy dream. That's what we're doing. And when Jesus in the Course describes, the darkness and the pain, the suffering and the malice of this world, that's the starting place. He's not saying it has to stay that way forever. If you follow the teachings, you move out of that world and you're sort of only dimly aware of it, and your world becomes full of beauty and goodness and love and kindness. It becomes your own personal happy dream. You're still making it as you did before. You're making something beautiful.
Lia, hi. I wanted to ask, I really like this idea of be aware of not judging, even when there is a voice inside me which is angry and shouting, instead of saying, oh, you again, why you're here. And also with what you say about when people describe something. Like these days, it can be about Afghan women, and it's a lot of things going on. And I just wanted to get some ideas. What would you suggest as the a loving sentence, a sentence that can keep myself into that place, and also is not rejecting to the other person? Like, I don't know, I think now you're judging, because then that will be, I think, something probably, yeah, then the topic, the anger would go between us, like who is judging, who is not judging. You say you are. So do you have any ideas how we can lead that lovingly with phrases or something, both for myself and with people?
I think when it's a judgment that we make just in our own minds that's not spoken, we can very kindly and gently observe it, because we don't want to add to the judgment by judging ourselves, do we? Oh, what a terrible person I am, I just judged again. Now that you think about it, it's crazy, isn't it? We just added another load of judgment to ourselves and guilt and so on. So I do think it's just as simple as noticing, being really determined to notice your judgments. Yeah, really see them and catch them. And often it's really hard because the need to judge is very sticky, isn't it? It's like an addiction. Yeah, pulls us in. We want to judge. We want to be right. Yeah, even though we know it's not going to work. There's that ego pull to judge, and then we feel better for a short while because that lot have been judged and they're bad and awful. So we must be therefore better. So you get about a minute of relief. And then you further misery. So what I think is just try to notice, but with kindness. I notice that I judge there. Yeah, it's just a noticing, like I notice the sun shining. We're not making it bad, I just notice. And you can then say, I forgive that thought. Yeah? And the most important thing here is going to be forgive the thought of judgment that you had. Yeah? And then choose a new thought. This is a really important process. Notice, forgive, get to peace, choose a new thought. You use that process for everything. I notice I judge, forgive myself for judging, and feel peaceful. Now, okay, I need a new thought. And you can say to the Holy Spirit, give me a new thought, please. And he will. Or you can just let one come. And most of the lessons and loads of the sentences in the Course are really wondrous thoughts. You've got loads of thoughts there you can choose. Anyone will work. Any thought from the Course will work. And then it's done. Yeah, you gently let it move away and keep going. 5 minutes later, another judgment. Oh, I just noticed I judged. Okay. I forgive that thought. Feel the peace, breathe deeply, and now choose a new thought. And you will be given the thoughts that you need. And it's a constant process of dissolving. And that's what forgiveness is, isn't it? It's a dissolution, it's a dissolving. So hopefully that thinking of that process would be helpful, Lia.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we've come to the end of our time today. It's lovely to have you all here. Please take yourself off of mute and show your appreciation to Lia.
Thanks, Lia.
Thank you, Lia. Thank you, everybody.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.